All of humanity should gather as one.
Hello, everyone. It's odd to be up here after so much time, but welcome tonight. I'm Diana Marie Delgado. I'm the Literary Director of the Poetry Center, and tonight I'm excited to present an evening with Luis Alberto Urrea in what is our first event after nearly 2 years. Yes, we need to clap. We really do need to clap. It's been a long time. This evening is part of the 12th Annual Tucson Humanities Festival, which started as Humanities Week and through community outreach, engagement, and incredible speakers has grown into a month-long series of thought-provoking presentations during October each year to celebrate National Arts and Humanities Month. We would like to start today by saying that we respectfully acknowledge the University of Arizona is on the land and territories of indigenous peoples. Today, Arizona is home to 22 federally recognized tribes, with Tucson being home to the O'odham and the Yaqui. Committed to diversity and inclusion, the university strives to build sustainable relationships with sovereign Native nations and indigenous communities through education offerings, partnerships, and community service. We also want to emphasize that this land acknowledgement is a milestone in our ongoing dialogue with the Tohono O'odham, the Pasca Yaqui, and the 20 other federally recognized tribes in the state. It is an indicator of our commitment to collaboration and to maintaining government-to-government relationships with the Native nations and indigenous communities with whom we share this region. This year's festival theme is storytelling. And we'd like to thank our sponsors who helped make tonight's event and the festival possible: Dorrance Foundation, Arizona Humanities, Humanities Seminars Program, and Bookman's Entertainment Exchange. We are also excited to offer tonight's presentation to a wide audience at home through live stream and captioning provided by the town of Oro Valley. In addition, tonight's event is sponsored by the Borchard Foundation Center on Literary Arts, a foundation established to create a community of literary artists from across the Americas to foster meaningful connections between people, culture, and the natural world. Michael Spurgeon, who was here to offer a few words, unfortunately is in airport hell. We wish him safe travels, but we're hoping that we do see him later on tonight. But he was planning to be here, but sadly he's got caught in that turmoil. A few just key things. We have books for sale. I mean, I don't know how long it's been since you've gone out in person and bought a book, but get a book tonight, right? Get a book for someone else. You know, Christmas is coming. Luis has done an amazing job in signing book plates. So every book that you purchase will have a book plate that has his signature, an original signature from Luis. So please take time. That will happen after the reading, briefly. The other thing I want to mention is once Luis finishes the reading, I'm going to come back up and just say a few closing remarks. So just if you don't mind not like running out right after the reading to get your book, just take a few moments, and I'm just going to just remind everyone of a few things that we have coming up in the Humanities Festival as well as the Poetry Center. So I was in charge of potentially writing an introduction for Luis, and I went back and forth reading his books, and I thought, man, this guy doesn't need an introduction. There's nothing really that I can write that is new or that can really encapsulate just the genius and the impact that his work has made, not only on just readers, but also specifically Latino communities, right, personally. So I'm going to go just for an introduction. If you don't know about some of his work, it's more of a biography. And then we're going to have Luis come up, and then you can kind of hear firsthand just why I didn't write that introduction. Luis Alberto Urrea is the critically acclaimed and best-selling author of 18 books of fiction, poetry, and nonfiction. He's a Pulitzer finalist, a Guggenheim Fellow, has won an Edgar, an American Book Award, and is an inaugural fellow for the Borchard Foundation. Born in Tijuana to a Mexican father and American mother, Urrea uses his dual culture life experiences to explore greater themes of loss, love, and triumph. Urrea has lived and written in Tucson and received the 2019 Tucson Festival of Books Founders Award. His most recent book is The House of Broken Angels and was a finalist for the National Book Critics Circle Award and New York Times Notable Book. Everyone, please give a warm round of applause for Luis Alberto Urrea.
Buenas tardes, Tucson. Tijuana back in the house. Man, I haven't seen you folks for a long time. This is my first reading in 2 years. I'm going to choke. No, I'll be all right. But Cindy, my beloved, y'all know Cindy, she said, since this is your first reading in a long time, you got to get a picture. So we're going to take a picture. Right? It's going to go in the memory books. Let's see. I do this sometimes at the festival, but... All right. Everybody smile. Let's see. All right, that way. This always embarrasses my kids. There we go. Thank you for coming. A lot has changed, of course. I'm a grandpa now, so yeah, it's good stuff. I like it. My beard wasn't as white when we went into lockdown, but so they told me 25 to 40 minutes to talk, and I want to do some poems with you. But I have, if you've come to the book festival, you know that I enjoy also performing some prose from memory. And I told Cindy, because poetry is a little serious, you know, I thought I would do my most uproarious and popular chapter from House of Broken Angels. And she said, you've done it already, they've heard it. I said, we need to laugh. Some people haven't heard it. So I may be retiring it now, because when your honey tells you don't do it, you got to do it, she says. Also, I just want to say, there are folks from Justice for All outside collecting names, for justice for migrants and deportees and so forth. So they asked me to say a word. I said it. I got a cool T-shirt. It's good. So I have a new book I'm putting together of poems. It's been a little while since I did one. It's going to be called Piedra. And Piedra is a book that I was doing years ago. Started when I was here. I was here working on The Hummingbird's Daughter, living down at the Elysian Grove Market, down by El Minuto, haunted. And then I moved up here to North Vine, right by the campus for a while. Cindy was a reporter at the Tucson Citizen. Journalism scandal, thank you. And we're very happy. So the first poem, now I have reading glasses. So the first poem is a kind of benediction, and I thought that was kind of nice to open with a blessing. It's called Gloria Mundi, and it's the first poem that will be in the Piedra book. It's short, might be the last short poem I do tonight. Gloria Mundi. Mountains unseam, split, spit red thunder, all life in excess. The drop of milk rises pearly to nipples peak and trembles for a mouth. Live rain. What need does beauty have of us? This kernel of corn holds within itself every milpa through time, cracked in a mouse's teeth, flea upon its back, wanders aspen glades of fur. Obsidian ceremonial dagger driven in, sips crimson platelets from the same heart as mine. Virgen de Guadalupe, pray for us. Tonantzin, pray for us. Malinche, pray for us. Tlaltoleotl, pray for us. Santa Sabina, pray for us. Hechicera, pray for us. Profesora, pray for us. Despeinada, pray for us. Chola, pray for us. I want to read you some stuff from the Tijuana Book of the Dead. This poem I usually like to open with because I don't know how many poets are here, but sometimes you write lines that are difficult to say to the public, and you'll hear the ending of this. I'm going to keep my clock so I can watch the time. This actually came out of doing a lecture for the Tin House Writing Conference. I don't know if you know Tin House, very hipster, you know. And we got there one year, and the director said, "The weirdest thing is happening." I said, "What?" And they said, "People here are asking for more soulful content." Those darn people. And I said, "Wow, that's what?" And they said, "We need you to do a closing speech for us. And bring the thunder." I'll never forget that. I was like, "Bring the thunder? What?" So I didn't keep any of that speech. It went over okay. I liked it. But I kept the ending. And you'll know when the ending comes. This is directly toward you. The ending. It's called "You Who Seek Grace from a Distracted God." You who seek grace from a distracted God, you who parse the rhetoric of empire, who know in your guts what it is, but don't know what to call it. You, good son of a race of shadows, your great fortune is to have a job. Never ate government cheese, federal peanut butter. You, jerked to light from secret dreams under your sheets, forgotten by 5:15, false dawn. You who fall asleep where you fall. Sleep beside women not yours who keep you warm. Sleep in spare rooms of your brothers. Sleep in the old bed in the back of your mother's house. Sleep where you are closest to a bus line. You who can't believe your mom rose at 4:45 to fry one huevo, one slice of bologna laid on a corn tortilla. Border Benedict. Here's your chance to drag home $80 a week for her electric. Food. What's left you spend on used paperbacks, a matinee, amigos, bus fare. Pay the ticket back to work. You kneel in mom's broken tub now. No shower, no heat, plastic tarp over crumbled wall. Gonna fix that for real one day. Soon. No shampoo. Scrub your scalp with dish soap. Shiver. 5:35, hop 2, got a mile to hustle to the express stop. You who have no car. Rush past houses, windows bright, behind driveway Cadillacs, neighbors you never speak to. Stir their money in golden pots for all you know. Heat turned high, showers running, and up boyhood's hill you biked down all those gone years ago, head alight with high school hopes. the poetry of Becky's eyes, Colette's laughter, Lil Mousie's big black avalanche of hair, letters in your back pocket from someone else's sweetheart. Walk on bloodstains brown now where the duplex bully crashed his stolen dirt bike into a trailer hitch last month. You who have Echo and the Bunnyman hair, go. Hike fast, man, it's 5:45. You long to sleep beside a woman you cannot possibly love. You reach the bench by 6, still dark, but far mountains flame in orange light coming on around you. Coughing angels smoke, Guadalupe's whisper, maids in sweaters, men in work boots and Levi's watching for the 50 to come, watching the clock, working for kids, for families, for parents. And already the radio Pharisee vomits rerun clots of fetid blood upon their heads. These calloused children, these mothers, these illegals, these greasers, these wetbacks, these narcos, these gang-related Hispanics, these beaners, these pepper bellies, these spics, these taco benders, these Aztecs, these social security savages, these gitanos, these papists, these aliens. Someone laughs, so do you, all together now. Bus comes, gasps, door unfold like aluminum scorpion jaws. Oh Christ, everybody here just dug panicked between couch pillows for enough coins to pay the fare. One more late day, you're all fired, and some of you wept while digging, praying the invisible man's prayer. Ay, por favor, por favor, por favor. Doors chew closed. You're in. You drop downhill toward Blackwater and veer south to the sleeping city. Bays and harbors full of oil don't invite any one of you to swim. Bus transfers and grim fists, worried and twisted, busmen catching more buses, riders catching red trolleys to get the jobs nobody wanted but everyone needed, catching hell from foremen who have never read a single poem and never will. Gardeners, nails soiled black, they're sleeping now, harrowing small hedgerows of last streams, mouths open, men and women borrowing more seconds of life, of home, of Spanish, of grandparents, of mangos, of bailes de primavera, of days before heavy work boots or maid shoes, days of never-ending nothing. Oh Elohim, old days they swayed like alamos in breezes, days before headless men were left in the topaz dawn on the Pueblo's plaza, before the desert women were left dismantled for buzzards. And you who cannot sleep, you bless these great unseen. You stare at a world made of Alka-Seltzer, fizzing away in the light. Still, you pull the cord. 7 o'clock. Same old downtown street, same day every day. You blink on Avenue C. Fog disembarks at the docks, follows sailors drunk and whoring before breakfast down Broadway. Strange days. Echoes flee the county jail, cold beside you. Voices, hymns of rage, inmate and trustee. Some of them, your cousins, sing night's vigils. They're over now. Offer hosannas of longing. Patri et filio. In tedium you walk silent, counting your manifold sins to the plaza. Stand in the crush of your family. These children heading for trade school. The wheelchair man. The woman and her shopping cart, the nodding hooker with blue tears on her cheek, paisanos y borrachos, ticos, boricuas, chicanos, apaches, taínos, habaneros, cariocas, mayas, tattooed cholo, samurai and inscrutable leaning back, hushed as he watches you. And you want to. You want to. You're burning with it. You who have no words. You want to cup their cheeks in your hands. You want to hold their faces between your palms. You want to say it. Say it. You have nothing to lose. Say it. Say, I love you. 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 Amen. We're okay. I gotta watch the time. This is a longer poem, and I thought it was appropriate since we're having the sign-ups outside. It's called Codex Luna, and this is just to give you some background, because people often want to know, where do poems come from? You know, and they come from different places. Obviously, if I see a spider web on a morning glory, it's going to be a haiku. It's not going to be a book-length poem, probably. But when I was a kid, my dad had a green card. My mom, as you heard, was American. And we left Tijuana, and we ended up living in this neighborhood called Claremont in San Diego. And a little middle-class, working-class neighborhood. And a lot of, how do I put this delicately? A lot of my relatives were maybe not necessarily documented. My father was old school Mexican. Some of you will know what this means. It means he had families, plural, along with mine. And so I had siblings. And they were using our mailbox for their address to receive mail. And I didn't get it. I was like, how am I getting like 50 letters here? It's everybody we ever knew. And my brother was married to a woman. They were later the basis of the main characters in House of Broken Angels. And she had a sister who would come across undocumented and was heading to Los Angeles to be a maid. I was a Boy Scout, and I had been at a camp out, and I came home, and there were my brother and my sister-in-law, and I was flipping out. This was so cool. They hadn't told me that this young woman, she was 13, was asleep in my bed. And I went back in my bedroom, and you can imagine me in my Boy Scout shorts, this creature asleep in my bed. And so there was this whole kind of relationship with me and her asleep, not figuring out what do I do? I don't know what to do. And she woke up, and you know, and then this poem came from the aftermath of that, when they took her north. And that night when I went to sleep, everything smelled of her perfume on my pillow. I had never had, you know, a woman's perfume or a girl's perfume on my pillow. And it was just this incredible thing. And she went through some terrible, difficult times. So that inspired this poem, and she died a couple of years ago. And I've always remembered her. So that inspired this, along with the plights of so many people that I have written about so many times. It's called Codex Luna. My moon pulled a different darkness across the sky. My unknown sisters, tucked in the barbed embrace of the border fence, saw a different face in the moon. Theirs was Lunatochtli, the rabbit moon. Moon of running, fear, and hiding. My bed was soft. Their beds were stone. My moon was origami, floating in a water cup, a Japanese artwork of rice paper and pearls, a light to dream of girlfriends. Their moon peeled a panicked eye, goggled blind as they ran. Headlights froze them. Twin moonbeams ran them down. Tufts of their dreams tangled in thickets of border tumbleweeds. My sisters brought undocumented scents to sweeten the valleys. Their perfume settled on roadsides, misted over bloodstain, rattlesnake, boot print, guard dog, flashlight, illegal exhalations, unlawful breathing, tainted with cinnamon, coffee, filling cries like sugar in the bellies of honeysuckle, underarm sweat from running, belly sweat, back of the neck sweat, small of the back sweat, shoulder blade sweat, brow sweat, behind them hunger, before them night. Tang of terror under their skirts, smell of hope, burning like mustard blossoms in the caves, burning stink of running, death smells of squatting where they hope no one could see them. Black soap, fresh hair, flagged in the wire. Sun smell of clothes once hung in the wind, heavy, hopeless breast milk smell, smell of Morelos, gardens in bloom, burning stink of running. 2, I did not need to run. I had a paper moon, stamped and certified. Mine was a colonia moon, a barrio moon, a suburban moon. I knew where I was supposed to be, where I was allowed to go, and that was anywhere. We lived the outhouse moon, the tortilla moon, the Channel 12 bullfight Tijuana moon, and then we migrated north like monarchs following the light. And my moon was a Boy Scout moon, a camp-out moon, a drive-in triple feature moon. My moon remained poor as a rusted coin in a frozen pond, but documented. The green men in the trucks could read my belonging by this moon's light, gave us the all clear to walk, work, die on ground our ancestors had forgotten. Let us don Bat Patrol patches and Troop 260 uniforms, hike the ridge lines where the Mexica had taken Huitzilopochtli in their arms and begun their 100-year walk to the south. My moon rose over tidy houses. 3, she ran. She ran all her life. She ran to stay ahead of charging darkness, galloping hunger. She ran west to El Poniente, north toward winter, and Mictlan, land of the dead. Worked the light of the moon in her small hands, the color of earth. She molded moon glow into trinkets, traded for coins, the color of sun. Wove moon into bracelets she traded for perfume. Worked the ceremonial motel chambers, swept the floors of the moneyed, folded bloody sheets, and knelt at toilets, scrubbing sins of the mighty from the seats. She was 13. Maklakli Iwan Ye. I was 10. Maklakli. Somehow, she came to rest in my house. Trucks could not track her for an hour. Dogs could not follow her scent. She was on that invisible railroad to Los Angeles, enemy city of the great walled city of Tijuanatlan. I was in the invisible mountains of Cuyamaca, walking in the ghost footprints of vanished hunters in their tribes, wondering where their arrows went, and she slept in my bed. Too tired to eat, too tired to join in the gathered laughter of my living room. She slept in my bed. She lay in my sheets, smelling the odor of Thunderbird and America, and her eyes pulled themselves closed to protect her. Dreams of home. 4, and I came in, and I found her. I came in and found her. Is there any other story, any other legend to tell? I came home. I found her head on my pillow, the first woman to ever sleep in my bed. Her hair, black across my pillow, spilling toward the earth, reaching for the heart of Seanawak, the one world. Her eyebrows, shallow as streams, fringed in cress and licorice in Cuyamaca shadows. Her brown brow unlined, one hand, fingers curled, nails pale small shells against the Chichimeca shores of her skin, her breath, making small melodies of breezes and tides, and me holding my breath, the thrum and sigh, thrum and sigh of her sleep. Then they woke her. She didn't want to wake. She didn't want to rise. She didn't want to go. I didn't want them to wake her. I wanted her to sleep beside me. I didn't know anything else that men wanted to happen in bed with a woman. I wanted to sleep beside her. I did not know the language of beds. I wanted to pass through the door of her color. I wanted to pray in her temple of hair. She knew more than I did about this language. She blushed when she saw me at worship. I wanted to pray. I blushed, discovered in my wanting. We touched hands. Hello. We touched hands. Adios. Then they tucked her in the back seat of a 64 car, smuggled her under blankets through trucks up freeways laden with runners north, where she'd bask in the light of 1,000 toilets, where her nails would break on porcelain, where she'd sweep more sheets off more beds where she could not afford to sleep, where helicopters searched her alleys with burning eyes all night, where she could speak to no one and no one could speak to her except to give her orders. Girlie, get your ass over here and wipe this up. You come when I tell you to come, and you do it now. Have papers? You like this. You do, don't you? You like this. I'll teach you a little something right here, right now. That night, I lay in her outline in my sheets. She was hot as a sunburn on my skin. I sank my face into the imprint of hers. Her perfume crept from the pillow, the smell of her memories. I smelled her mother in a kitchen with clay pots and cilantro. It was all there. It is still there. Hibiscus tea, a river, a handful of shampoo falling to a drain like melting snowdrifts. First grade, the Mexican national anthem, the snap of the flag, chalk dust sneezes, smell of library paste, village church, incense, the crack of unopened Bibles, laundry day, the boiling, tamales day, and the ants with their crow-voiced laughter, the meat, the masa, the raisins, the cinnamon, morning glory, vines all tangled through cheap Tijuana perfume, just and illegal in crepuscular dawn. If you see her, protect her, revere her, my unknown sister. Light candles in her honor, you travelers. She is the mother of my race. Thank you, Bill. Two shorter ones. I've always been pals with Sherman Alexie since he was a kid, and he read this poem, and he was really sweet about it. He wasn't always sweet when you wrote stuff, but he came up to me and said, "Luis, that poem about the dude in the bathroom?" I said, "Yeah," and he went, "Oh," and collapsed on the table. So I thought, I might as well read it to you. It's called Help Me. It's another autobiographical poem. You know, you're called upon. Cindy always says I have a Jesus complex. I don't know if I do or not. Sometimes I think it was like a Bono and U2 complex. You know, I just want to help people. I can't help myself. And this is one of those times where you're going into the bathroom to do your business and something uncomfortable happens. This is this poem about it. Help me. 100 bad jobs before one poem published. Another lunch break. Another greasy paper bag with another bologna and cheese sandwich. Invisible to women. Not enough money in my pocket to get robbed. Public toilet on an otherwise heartless California day. An empty wheelchair in the middle of the room. From a stall, a voice. "Hey, guy." He was twisted on his seat, pants around his ankles. "Help me? I'm late. Been here for a while." "Sure," I said. "How?" I said, "I can't get my pants up." I said, Okay, how? I bent to him and pulled up his underpants, pulled up his corduroys, pulled up his zipper, did the button on his pants, even affixed his belt. He leaned on my shoulder, skinny as a kite. At least he didn't have to wipe me, guy. We waltzed somehow to his chair, and I set him in it. Whew, he said. Whew, I said. Sorry, he said. No, man, no. Then he cried, my lunch! I went back in the stall, his lunch in a greasy paper bag just like mine. Mom made it, he said. Can't forget it. I grabbed it. Mom had put a banana in there. I felt his entire life in my hand. His morning, his birthday, his Christmas, his bedtime. Man, he said, thank you. Have a good day, and thank you. I broke out into the sun, walking, squinting, too much sunlight out there, and I went back to work forever. Oh, yeah. You're so kind. I think I'll read you one more short one, and then I'll try to be jolly with the chapter. This is a poem to my mom. You know, you start to, I think when you're young and you want to be some badass young writer and stuff, and it's so unhip to write things for your mom, and then you realize way too late that your mother was the superhero of the whole story. Those of you who see me at the conference know I've been writing an epic novel about my mother's World War II service, and it's coming out next October. Yeah, I don't know if I'll come back. I'll be, on my yacht, but no. It's looking good. It's called Goodnight, Irene. But this is a little bit about my mother and our life in the barrio. My dad had other things to do, and he would go out, and she was terrified of the neighborhood and wouldn't go outside at night. And 4th of July rolled around, and we couldn't go see fireworks, and this is the poem. I remember this night all the time. And then I promise we'll cheer up. So, Darling Phil, July. Fireworks tonight, the new life. I remember now, that other life, the life below, those tenement years. On our dead alley, and Papa gone out to visit bowling alley waitresses again. Mother too scared of pachucos and winos and gang fighters and black people to go into the dark to that Shelltown Park to watch the rockets. Papa had the 49 Ford, though Mom couldn't drive it. Didn't matter. 10 feet. So what? What were we going to do? Anyway, we're going to jump on the junkie bus and ride it 1 mile through the concrete night? 10 o'clock and Ma wrapped us in blankets to keep mosquitoes off, and we snuck through the buildings to the outside stairwell, to the landlord's place, and we climbed halfway up. Cement landing as cool as grass anyway, and we ate ketchup sandwiches. She, a step above me, head thrown back, eyes up to the sky, searching, seeing dead ancestors, dead friends, seeing the mysterious man who sent letters she kept hidden in her drawer. He called her Darling Phil. Fireworks. But this is the real world. It's almost funny. We couldn't see a single firework. All we saw was the ghost plumes of the smoke angling away. We heard thunder. We saw the color of the bombs lighting the smoke from underneath, reflecting the color. Oh, the color. It lit the sky. And Phyllis, dark as sorrow against it. The color. Man, it seemed almost beautiful. That's me, Mum. I think she'll be happier maybe with the novel because she gets to be a war hero, which she was, which makes me very happy. So it's a coming. This is a chapter then from The House of Broken Angels. And I mentioned to you The House of Broken Angels is based on real stuff if you haven't read it. It's okay because we sold it to Hulu, so, watch it. Yeah, that means, yeah, thanks, but as Cindy can tell you, it means nothing. But they might make it, you don't know. But it was based on my brother's funeral. I know several of you have heard this chapter before. I apologize. Like I said, I'm probably going to retire it. But it was a crazy thing. It was the Mexican Finnegan's Wake. My brother's mom, not my mother, but his mom, died on a weekend, like on a Friday. And he was dying of cancer. And he was going to have the family decided to give him a living wake, a farewell party for his birthday the following weekend. And my brother was so mad at his mom. He was like, Mom, you ruined everything. You died before my birthday. So they had the funeral for her on Saturday, and then his goodbye wake on Sunday. And we were there for all of this. And there is stuff in the book. I'll just throw you out just an example of the ridiculousness in families. I'm sure you have crazy families too on some level. One of my brothers has a son who's in a rock band. And he was at Grandma's funeral. And my brother called him. He said, Oye, ven pa acá, Carlos, ven. So Carlos came up and he had hair sprayed, sticking up. And I said, Hey, Carlos. And my brother says, and remember, this is Grandma's funeral, the organs. And my brother says, Hey, Luis, Carlos tiene un conjunto de rock and roll. I said, You do? You got a, yeah, tío, yeah. And I said, What kind of music do you guys play? And he says, Norwegian death metal, tío. Border culture, right? I said, Wait a minute, a bunch of Mexicans playing Norwegian death metal? He's like, Yeah, man, yeah. And I said, And what do you play? He says, I'm the lead singer, man. And I stupidly said, You're the lead singer? Do you do that Norwegian demon voice they do? And he goes, Extreme, like this, in the middle of the funeral. And my poor brother's like, Ay, mijo, shh, it's okay. It was like that. I knew we were in for a heck of a weekend. And so the whole novel came from my brother, who was not demonstrative, asking me to come get in bed with him because he was very ill. He died that next week. And I did, and we spent this day together. And we were remembering past things. And back in the day, I was always on tour. I used to joke with Cindy, I felt like the literary Bachman-Turner overdrive, going from bowling alley to bowling alley, And I had to leave, and I got to Dallas, and he had died, and I had to go home and bury him. But anyway, we were remembering this little story about my grandma. And so I turned it into a chapter that came just when you needed some laughs. I'm going to do a little shorter version because I don't want to go over time because I'll get in trouble with the staff. Oh, no? Oh, let me take my jacket off then. So it's a chapter called Parrots, and I see people have heard it. I'm sorry, I'm gonna do it again. And it's based on some misbehavior of my grandmother's, which will come clear during the story. And it's a story about the two brothers named Angel. There's Big Angel and Little Angel, half brothers, and they have the same name because their dad forgot he'd used it once, which is actually true. My older brother's named Luis, and I'm Luis, and he had to go by his, so he's known as Octavio because I was Luis. Playa dads. So this is the story. So Little Angel is in his new house. Big Angel has the family in Tijuana. He's just gotten his green card. He's come to the United States thinking he's on easy street and realizes that, gringos work way too hard. He's exhausted and cranky all the time. There's no rest for him. And he has a car, an old Rambler. And every week, Papa sends him to go pick up his mother in Tijuana and bring him back. And he sends little Angel with his brother so he can become more Mexican. Give him a little dose of Mexicano, come on. So, Big Angel doesn't appreciate that. So they've driven to Tijuana, and I'll just pick up where they pull up to the house. It's based on my grandma's house where I spent my boyhood on Rampa Independencia in Tijuana. They pulled up the Rambler to the yellow house on the side of the hill. Big Angel was exhausted, chain smoking. He got out. He was in no mood for anything. Little Angel was in the back seat with his Mad magazines, and he climbed out. The big yellow wall was in front of the house, and stuck in the top of the cement wall, Mexican style, were shattered Pepsi-Cola and beer bottles embedded in the cement so that if any bad guy snuck in to try to steal Mama's underwear, they would be lacerated. The boys opened the gate, went to the front door, let themselves in. They were in the living room of the house. There was no sign of Mama. They knew she was probably packing in her bedroom, and they stood there. In a corner, in a wrought iron cage, sat the famous parrot of the De la Cruz family. He was named Periquito de la Cruz. It's a green parrot who sat in the cage all day, bored out of his mind, though they had put in a mirror. And he had discovered the invading parrot in the mirror. And all day he would look at it, and then he'd sidle over to it, and he'd say, Periquito, 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 de la Cruz! And he'd strut back to his normal spot till he'd see it again. And he'd go back and lay the smack down on it. Periquito, 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 de la Cruz! Mama heard this ruckus, came out. The parrot, she said. She was dressed in her finest clothes. She had her little red pocketbook and her little shoulder bag with her clothes. Came out and she said, yes, mijo, speaking to Big Angel, I told you once before, we could make a great negocio. We could have a business selling periquitos verdes in San Diego. Those poor Mexicans don't have green parrots, and you can't be Mexicano sin un perico. He's like, Ama, I've told you a million times, you can't take a parrot across the border. Es illegal, okay? Dame la bolsa. He took her bag. He walked out. Little Angel looked back and forth, followed him out. They should have listened when Mama adjusted her little jacket and said, we'll see. They got in the car and they started down the hill. It was a rocky, dirt-filled street. He had to drive very carefully. Little Angel in the back, Mama in the front. And she said, Mijito, I want you to take me to the fruit market before we go to the border. He said, ay, ama, we're short on time. No, vamos a ir. Ama, you can't take fruit across the border. No me importa si puedes o si no. Yo soy tu mamá, vas a hacer lo que te digo. Okay, we'll go. So he, instead of turning left and going to the border, he turned right and he went to the great fruit market of Tijuana. It's an ancient spot, surrounded by old buildings. In the middle is an opening with a parking lot full of beaten up trucks, men carrying cebollas, sugarcane, watermelons, mangoes. The blacktop is shellacked, shiny, with decades of pulp and juice squeezed into the blacktop by the trucks. Mama got out, took her little purse, and headed off. The boys got out of the cars, and they looked, and they were horrified to see she was going to a far corner with a sign that said, bird salesman. And little Angel said, dude, are we in trouble? And Big Angel said, I don't know. Let's go see what's going on. They followed her, and she got to the workbench and knocked on the wood. And a nice young man came out of the back. Sí, señora, sí. Joven, ¿tiene usted perico verde? He said, oh, yes, of course. Yes, but do you have tamed perico verde? Hand tamed? I need the most friendly, delicate, friendly, nice, cuddly. He said, sí, no problem. I raised them myself. Let me go get you el más mansito. And he disappeared inside, and the two boys were standing beside her looking at each other like, oh, great. he came out with a little green parrot on his finger. And it did look quite tame. It was looking around at everything, how interesting everything was. And he said, would you like to hold? Oh, yes, please. And she put her finger and tapped against his belly like you do with a green parrot, and he stepped up on her finger. And then she went into that bizarre granny babble that Mexican grandmothers do with babies and puppies. Ay, mira qué bonito el periquito. Qué bonito. Ay, mira la boquita que tiene. The parrot was carried away. He was like, yes, I'm very handsome. It's true. Watching her finger fluffed up a little bit. She says, sí, sí. It answered her. Ay, qué lindo el perrito. While she was doing this, she reached down to her pocketbook, opened it, dug around in it, and came up with a little bottle with an eyedropper on top. And she put it down and she unscrewed it. The bird salesman and the two boys were like, what the hell? She took it out and she squeezed up a eyedropper load of fluid and she tapped it on his beak. Ándale, abre el piquito. Ándale, abre el piquito. He opened his mouth and she quickly put 3 drops in his mouth, put the thing back on the bottle, put the bottle in the bag, and looked at the boys and said, it's tequila. And soon the bird started to sway. And it started to kind of rock a little bit. She was watching. And then suddenly, it fell over backwards. She caught him in her hand. She laid him down on the workbench, his little feet in the air, and he was making little parrot snores. She got her pocketbook, and she took out a sheet of newspaper, set it out on the bench, and then picked up the sleeping parrot, and she laid it on the newspaper, and she rolled him up. It was a cone, the tail down in the cone, the head up in the wide part. He looked like a parrot-flavored snow cone. And then the nightmare moment happened. She embarrassed all the boys because she pulled open the top of her dress and inserting the narrow part, put him deep inside and then tamped him down. And then she adjusted herself and she said, okay, let's go to San Diego. Big Angel, he was sure he was going to prison. And he drove very carefully. In those days, it wasn't a high-tech border. There was a little plywood shed with a bar stool and a phone. That was it. And the U.S. customs agents would look at license plates and check a typed list of bad guys to see if there was a bad guy. And there was a ritual, it was almost religious, that happened at this crossing. Big Angel pulled up very slowly, put it in park, sat looking straight ahead. Mama next to him looking straight ahead. Little Angel in the back. I don't know what's going on. And the agent stepped out, shook out his leg. Amigo, he said, ¿Tiene usted papeles? Green card. All right, buddy, good. He bent down. Señor, ¿tiene usted papeles? Visa. All right, ma'am. Looked at little Angel in the back. Hey, buddy, you got papers? I'm a U.S. citizen, man. Great, man. He stepped back, and then the other part of the ritual was, amigos, ¿tienen ustedes licores en el trunco del carro? And every driver said no, even though they had a load of booze. And they pulled it off. They had pulled it off. The agent was convinced, and he began to turn away from them. He was going to signal the next car to come forward. All little Angel could see was his belly turning in the window. And it got maybe 3/4 of the way away from their car, and the hand was rising when the parrot awoke. The hand was rising, and there came this cry of, Gah! Everything stopped. The border agent's hand went down. The belly rotated back to the window. He looked in. He couldn't tell what was going on, but suddenly a horrifying thing happened. It tried to escape. And Mama's bus line started moving by itself. And she looked down and she said to him, "I don't even know what's happening." Now, 10 years after this event, little Angel went to the movies and he saw a film that reminded him for the rest of his life of his wonderful grandmother. It was a movie called Alien. So as the federal agent watched, suddenly it came forth out of her dress, screaming, "Ah, ah," biting everything she was watching. She said, "Isn't this interesting?" And then it burst out, poof, little green feathers, and it began flying around the inside of the car. Everybody watching it, the agent watching it, everybody freaking out except for Mama, who very calmly reached down and opened the passenger side window. And in that moment, all of them in unity, border forgotten, Mexican nationals, U.S. citizen, U.S. federal agent, watched that parrot enter the United States illegally. That's it. And now my boss is going to give some closing comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. That was amazing. That's just what everyone needed tonight. Really. Let's give another warm round of applause for Luis Urrea. So we really hope you enjoyed the reading this evening. Make sure before you leave to get a calendar. It has a list of all the upcoming festival events. The next festival event will be held on October 19th, and for more information, you can head to the University of Arizona Tucson Humanities Festival's website. The Poetry Center next event is happening next week, and that's Thursday, October 21st at 7 p.m., and we will be hosting poet Mahogany Brown over in the Rubel Room, so don't miss that reading. That's going to be an amazing reading to start off our fall. But thank you so much. Have a great evening. Buy books, and we will see you next week. Thank you.